August was died of the voice of Deputy Spokesperson of the Republic, Redundancy Son. Next is Council of Corporate Crime, Ministers of Labor. Minister Cllr the Labor or the review of activities of the Ministry of Labor, outline key achievements, and lay out prospects
Mr.
for
Acting
fiscal
Minister,
year 2025.
Deputy and Assistant Ministers, members of the press, and other distinguished personalities here. Again, let me wish you Happy New Year, and we hope that this year, for all of us, will be better than last year. And let me say that it is important for those of us who are working for or working with the president to on a regular basis show up here to give some information to the public. Because our society is such that if you do not have the right information to be given by the rightful people, the tendency is that misinformation will go out, wrongful information will get in the hands of others to try to picture the good works of the government or other agencies of government very differently. So we hope this year we will try to make our presence here with the Ministry of Information regular, and at least to be able to set some records straight. I know I was here, we were here a couple of, maybe 2-3 months ago, and we hope to be here on a regular basis in collaboration with the Ministry of Information. But let me say that the year 2024 for us at the Ministry of Labor, it was a new form of education for us, but as an administrator, I think we made some good, we made adjustments within a short period. And you will see that from the results, some of the results we're going to give you in terms of what we did over the past couple of months. You know, the core function of the ministry basically is to intervene in labor-related matters, seek employment opportunities for Liberians, and make sure that there are control in our labor sector. We make intervention when there are unfair labor practices against workers in the private sector, and we investigate and make determination of those cases. And it's important that we give you some information in those areas of our intervention. We also contribute significantly to the revenue envelope of the country. And for our first year, there were interesting results which we thought is important to share with the public. So if I were to start, let's talk just firstly about about our alien registration department, function of the ministry. The Alien Registration Department is responsible to issue our work permit to aliens or foreigners that work within our economy. When you say foreigner, that includes non-Africans, that also include other Africans for other African countries, that also includes our West African brothers. So it's just a grouping of those. You may call them aliens, and then we have to give them permission to work in our country. From our records for the alien department for the course of 2023, we recorded very, very interesting statistics. For example, for our regular work permit, we issue out 9,468 regular work permits. For our gratis work permit, we issue out 948. For ECOWAS work permit, we issue out 558. So the total that we received, that were processed, was 10,974. Of the 10,974, the total of 857 applicants were denied, either because the job that they applied for were a job that could be done by Liberians, or that could be occupied by Liberians. Because of that, we would deny them those a right to work in Liberia. And in terms of just the process, we give you a little bit breakdown on the process. In terms of the different categories. For example, during the course of a year, there are people that we met already working in Liberia. So for them, that was a matter of renewal. There were not new work permits were given to them. So for renewal that we did during the course of 2024, we did a total renewal of 7,633. That was something like 75% of the work permit that we issued during the course of a year. So 75% represented renewal of work of people who are already here and the work permit had expired and we had to issue new ones. New work permit that we issued to people who came during the course of our administration was 2,484. That's only 15% of the work permit that we issued during 2024 that were new, but we just represented 15%. That gave you a total of 10,170. Both the renewal and the new work permit, that tallied up to the 100% that we did during the course of the year. And sometimes it's good to give you a little more detail too. For example, for mail that we issue work permit during the year, in the 2024, was 8,802. That represented 87% of the total work permit that we issued. For female, that was 1,315. That constituted 13% of the work permit we issued. So, again, in terms of people who are coming here to work, not too many women that come. That's what you see from this. That gave you a total of 100%. Now, we probably it's good to say how many of these represented non-African and those that represent Africans. For non-Africans, aliens that will issue work permit to, that was a total of 6,980. That was like 69% of the work permit we issued. For non-ECOWAS African aliens that came to work in Liberia, we issued 2,699. That was like 27% of the work permit that we issue out to non-ECOWAS African. That means from South Africa, Zambia, because we're doing mining here now. So most of these guys will come from South Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and they work in Liberia. That was a total of 27% of the work permit we issue. For ECOWAS members, for Guinea, Ivory Coast, and our ECOWAS members, that was a total of 438. That constituted 4% of the work permit we issue. If you check that, we give you the same 10,000, which was 10,170, 100% of the work permit we issue. Now, we have to see during the period under review, the registration and the organization recorded a total of US $9 million, zero tech team, at 200, 9,013,200 US dollars. That was our contribution to the national budget or the envelope. during the course of 2024 for basically that maybe 10 to 11 months. And we like to give you just on a quarterly basis to have an idea. From January to March, we did 1.8. From April to June, we did 2.2. From July to September, we did 2.6 million. From October to December, we did 2.3 million. That, of course, that figure away. That gives you a total of 9,013,200 in US dollars that we collected and as a contribution to our revenue envelope. Let me also say briefly. You may have followed some of the things we did. I will speak to you briefly in terms of our interventions in labor disputes. I think I will come to the statistic. But during the course of the year, you must have followed us that we did some tours of concession areas. There were interventions that we made during those tours. During the tour, we did some, for example, everywhere that we went, we would meet with the workers first before meeting with the management. And there was a time for lecture, time of education. We spoke to the workers in terms of their right. If you work on a national holiday, how are you supposed to be paid overtime? What would be the rate of it overtime? Some people did not know. We brought that up. If you work if you did overtime, maybe 2-3 hours overtime, is the rate different from your regular rate? We have to give them that education. We did that from Beer Mountain, Western Cluster, Cllr Meta, and Firestone. And I'll give you an example. Just from the education we did, for example, in Akron, they determined that they were not being paid their overtime properly. They worked during their resting period and they were not paid. So just about 3 weeks ago, we intervened, and a total of 900 Liberian workers received a total of 270,000 US in additional payment because there were payments that they were supposed to receive based on the hours they worked and they did not receive it. We did that. We've done that same intervention in Buchanan. We've done that same intervention in the workers that are working with CRSG went to Noguatua. We've done that and they made additional payment. So the tour was very useful and it was an eye opener for our Liberian workers. And in Firestone, you remember, we also toured Firestone facility. We met with the workers. There are a couple of interesting things that we discovered. For example, we went to one of the divisions where there was a school on the in an open air, and they said the students were required to pay tuition. We had to order them to close it because that was not a school. Okay, and the situation in Firestone is such that you have Firestone now that have subcontracted the division to Liberian subcontractors, and the subcontractors are the ones who took over those who are doing the tapping in those divisions, and they pay them. But the facilities that Firestone should have that were providing for the workers, their dependents, they are now relying on providing those services. Now we are on their back. We told them there are schools that are not closer to the area where the staffers live. You have to convey the workers or the children to the school in an appropriate manner. So 2 weeks ago, they informed us that they have secured 2 buses to be able to convey the students for those who live away from the school area. That's a good news. We also discovered that the subcontractors, even though they took over the workers from Firestone, but Firestone was giving the workers 2 bags of rice. At the end of the month, they would deduct $33 from their pay. That was some form of incentive for the workers. The contractors took over, and they were giving the same quantity of rice to the workers, but now we're deducting $74 US from their salary. We made an intervention. We told them you have to come back to the $33 because you are an extension of Firestone. Whatever incentives FISO were giving the workers, please do it. We are seriously in conversation with them. At one point they say yes, at one point they say no, but we believe we'll get there. Because these are essential things for the workers. We don't. We question of the right to subcontract your work to another party. We've not reached there to see whether it's proper or not. Why it may be provided for by law. We think there are conditions that you have to respect. There are conditions you have to respect. So these are some of the results of the tour that we made, and it is our plan that the tour of these different concession areas will be regular, will be on an annual basis, and we will continue to do that because I think now we've known some of the issues and the problems that exist in these concession areas. We believe that our intervention was very necessary. Now let me come back to the division of labor standard. You know, we before I gave you the division of labor standard statistic, just to give you just an overall performance for 2024 as compared to 2023, because we took over 2024. The total. In 2023, the total contribution from the Ministry of Labor to the national government was $6.8 million. So our contribution from at least 10, 11 months came to 9,015,758. So if you look at that, the difference, the excess in our performance was $2.2 million. We think we did well, and we hope that we can do better. We're making logistical requests. You know, our workers, there's no transportation, no bus facility, but we made them over the years to go out and do what they were employed to do. They made some sacrifices. So I'm sure we'll be able to make some requests. They say, look, we need something to be done for our workers. Do we have their bus at least to take them home after a hard day of work? We intend to do that, and we've started that process already. And this is important. Well, let you know, sometimes, you know, under difficult circumstances, but when you are called to duty, sometimes it's good to go the extra mile to make contribution. There's one more thing I need to bring up. Yeah, I think I gave you the statistic from the alien registration in terms of the total collection and the breakdown of the different category of aliens, people that we issue work permit to. Okay. We do it in the labor standard division. We handle these cases. When we handle cases, some of them we end up going to court. Some of the cases we handle them, the parties may agree to resolve the matter, and we can resolve them right at the ministry. So we use what you call alternative dispute resolution in most of the cases, and we're able to resolve a lot of the cases. For example, we handled we received a total payment of something like $4,564,759 Liberian dollar were paid to Liberian workers, individuals who brought matter there, and those matters were resolved. In terms of US dollar, that based on our labor standard intervention that were paid to workers, that came to $302,292.56. Quite a bit. And most of these matters we handled there, that was just basically through bringing the people and just showing them the law. And showing them the law. And we were able to convince most of them to settle the matter without necessarily going to court. Okay. Now, we also have the responsibility to issue out contractual certificates. So, if you have a contracting firm a contracting firm, you come, we'll give you a certificate. We issue a total of 58 we receive a total of 58 applications for contractual certificate. And of that, we issue out 46 contract certificates, and we are now still reviewing, I think, 12 of them. I mean, the reason for that is if you issue the certificate to contractors, we require them to bring, say, tax clearance. So you can't come when you're working, you have to pay taxes. So this is the level of interagency cooperation that we do. So if you want contract certificate, you must have done some contract last year that you pay your taxes. So we will bring all your tax clearance. That's why you see some of them are still pending. If you don't have, we'll not give you additional clearance because you are supposed to be a taxpayer. These are all part of it. And there were some companies that did some redundancy during our period of our administration. We received a total of 11 applications for different entities for redundancy. 5 of those exercises have been completed. We still have six requests that are still pending. Redundancy may come about where you have maybe the company is facing economic problem and they want to reduce the workforce. The law requires that if you want to do that, you have to write the Ministry of Labor. We will to justify that your request is justifiable, and then we allow you to make sure that we do it under the supervision of our workmen compensation to ensure that whatever those affected employees are entitled to will be correctly calculated and paid to them. So our administration at the Ministry of Labor, we try to keep it as open as possible. So the information we've given you are very important, because sometimes if you don't go into a little bit detail, people can give just the wrong impression about even the work permit until we issue. Somebody say, oh yeah, you are depriving Liberia, that's why you give him work permit. No. We are part of the community of nations. The same thing people are doing for our workers, for our citizens in other parts of the world. We have to do the same thing. But are we doing it diligently? Yes, we are. We don't just give work permit. We deny work permit. We have a total denial that we did of work permit. I think we have a total about 600 and plus work permit were denied, because we felt that those jobs were jobs that Liberians can do. So we're not giving work permit. And we just like to in this public manner, we just like to inform the public that we have an employment bureau within the ministry. The employment bureau receives applications from, if you have resume, you lodge it with our employment bureau director. We catalog them. Every time we receive requests from people and say, look, we were looking for a heavy duty driver, for example, we ask them, you will bring your resume, we'll make recommendation there. For in the past 2 weeks, we made a recommendation about, especially since our tour, we made about 52 recommendations to different companies. They've asked for people to go and work with them. So it's important to keep our department busy. Those of our people who are looking for a job, they have their information. We help. It's not 100% surety, but most of them are being cooperative. Because we noticed during our tour that these companies, most of the mineral development agreement will have provision for employment. For example, one of the companies has something like, look, within 8 years, 30% of your managerial position should go to Liberia. After 15 years, 70% of your managerial top management position should go to Liberians. And this is what we're doing. We are looking at them very, very closely. And I think it's important as we look at these agreements in collaboration with the Bureau of Concession, we will continue to help Liberians to enter these different concession areas. There are opportunities with them, because in the past we have not been looking at it closely. Maybe some of them have not been implementing that, but now that they know that we're going out, some of them are coming by themselves to say, look, I'm looking for an accountant. I want a controller. I want an HR. They yesterday received a request for two assistant HRs. So who knows, if you have interest, you are training in those kind of areas, contact our director for employment. And I'd like for you to start, you can see him just in case. Mr. Director? Oh, he's not, oh, this is our minimum wage woman. Okay, but I'm sorry it did not come, but he's at the ministry, is the very, one just get there and say, look, where is the employment bureau area? But we also like to inform the public that in the under our decent work act, there is a requirement for a board that should review our minimum wage in the private sector, okay, on a regular basis. The board was constituted by the former president, where the board is in existence, but they were a little bit dormant because they were not properly funded to the budget. So they were not. This year we made some noise. We want to make sure that there is funding in the available for the board to work. They are supposed to review the minimum wage of workers in the private sector. So it's important that our board, that board will work, and we hope that there will be some results from their work where we can come back here and say, look, the minimum wage has recommended that maybe agricultural workers, instead of making instead of minimum wage being $5.50 a day, maybe they will say $6. If that, once they pass that and we can get endorsement of the legislature, we will spread that, especially in the private sector. And again, let's make this announcement again, that the Ministry of Labor actually handles matters that have to do with people in the private sector, workers in the private sector. That means the companies and concession workers, industrial workers are those that we are responsible for. But if you are a worker in the public sector, you are the civil service agency is responsible for you. So there have been instances where people who work in the public sector will have a problem and they come to the Ministry of Labor to say, oh, the people dismiss me illegally. No, if you are in the public sector and you have a dismissal issue, you go to the civil service agency. But we also made an announcement during the course of last year, because in the past there was an understanding that all health workers were not allowed to form union. All teachers were not allowed to be part of union. We have made a clarification and we made a distinction in that private institutions, like private health workers or workers who work in private hospitals, you have a right to unionize. You have a right to unionize. If, for example, if you are a health worker and you work with, say, Cllr Hospital. Cllr Hospital is not a government, it's not a public institution, it's a private institution. So you may have a right, you have a right to join union or to unionize based on the different union we have in Liberia. If you are a teacher and you work in the public institution, we, under the current law we have, we will not allow you to form union under the Decent Work Act. But if you work in the private institution, you are teaching, say, you are in the Catholic school system, for example, those workers, those are private institutions, the teachers from there have a right to unionize. So we want to make sure that it's not just a blanket thing, there are distinctions, and if you have issues, if you want some further clarification, you always visit our people. So again, we look forward to working with the press. We look forward to working with the Minister of Information over the course of this year, and we want to just again thank the ministry for again the transformation they are bringing to this ministry. It's now looking like a real information ministry. I want to just thank you, Minister. Thank you.